Hey friends, it's Dan back again for another Vinyl Finds video. This one is going to be for the month of March of 2022. Just going to show you a few of the albums that I've acquired over the past month. And I have a couple of other things I want to talk about too. So we'll do that kind of at the end. I seem to be late with these videos. I try to do them once a month, and for some reason it seems to be that I travel at the end of the month. So I'm a little late getting this out. It is April the 6th, but that's okay. These are albums that were acquired in the month of March, and I just figured I would share them with you. And like I said, I have a bonus CD that I want to share, and I want to talk about Jimi Hendrix after that. So we're going to jump right into it because I don't want to make this super long, and I don't really have a whole lot of albums to talk about this month. March was kind of a quiet month for me. One of the ones that I was really excited to get, though, this one released this past month in March, was the Duke Ellington and John Coltrane. And this one is released on the Impulse label, and this is an excellent album. I really like this. John Coltrane, some of his stuff, I have a Love Supreme, and I like some of it, don't like other parts of it. I don't like a lot of his really hardcore stuff. I'm not a fan of just the kind of the hard bop. But what I do like is I like his smoother style, and that's what he and Duke Ellington are doing here. It's Duke on the keyboard or piano, and Coltrane on the saxophone, obviously. So it's a little smoother, more traditional jazz, which is really what I prefer. And I really like Duke Ellington a lot. His Duke Ellington Jazz Party album that I have is one of my favorite albums, jazz albums, and it's more of that traditional kind of big band jazz type sound. But this is just a really, really nice album. It's more of that traditional kind of jazz type sound. So this is one of the new ones that I got this month. I highly recommend it. It's a great album. The other new album that I got this month, and a little story behind this one, my son, we're all gamers in my family, and one of our favorite games is the Fallout series. And in the Fallout series, they have a channel that plays some older songs, and one of the songs that is in the that's played on the radio when you're playing the game, when you're walking around, is Big Iron by Marty Robbins. And so my son, who is 17 years old, has played that a lot, and he really got to where he liked hearing the Marty Robbins song, Big Iron. So he, with his own money, decided that he was going to buy Marty Robbins' Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs. He bought this album. I think we ordered it off of Amazon, and he loved it. He said it's one of his favorite albums, so he listens to this a lot on his system in his room. And I was a little skeptical, I guess, about the quality of the pressing. It's a wax time and color. This is one of the European. I don't know exactly where it was pressed, but Wax Time and Color is the label, and I know some of these are kind of hit or miss. Some of these are kind of gray market albums, and sometimes their source material is a little sketchy. So I told him that, and he still ordered it. He paid, I don't know, it was like $16, $17, so he was like, I don't care, I'll order it and give it a try. And it is a colored record. It's like a reddish, pinkish kind of color. And so he ordered it, and we put it on his turntable, and it actually was nice. It's a nice pressing. Is it an analog pressing? No, probably not. Is it a quiet pressing? Yes, it's a very quiet pressing, and it sounds good. It has a good sound overall. So I went ahead and I ordered a copy for myself because I too love Marty Robbins. And this is just a classic album. It's a great album. Big Iron is probably one of my favorite, but it's got Cool Water, and it's also got El Paso on it, which those are huge hits for him, and just really good songs. So, and that kind of takes me back to some of the music that my dad used to listen to, and I really enjoyed it too. So that was kind of a fun find. It was, like I said, it was a very cheap record, and you're always a little skeptical when you get those cheap records, but I figured, what the hell, got it, and turned out pretty good. So if you see that one out there, jump on it. I recommend it. By the way, tonight I should start doing this. I should start doing my beer of the broadcast. Tonight we are doing Naked Pig Pale Ale. This is from Back 40 Brewing Company in Gadsden, Alabama. A little far north of here. And not bad. It's okay. I'm a fan of pale ale, so anyway, it's not too bad. I wouldn't say it's my favorite pale ale, but I have, my wife got some when she was up there on business, and she brought them home, and I'm going to drink them. So anyway, okay, so those are my only two new albums this month, or for the month of March. I did manage to get a handful of used albums, and what's awesome about it is just they were really cheap because I did some thrift store shopping. First of all, these are kind of cheating. I must confess, I got these today. I got 2 albums today. Technically it's April, but I haven't done a video for March, so I'm going to throw them in the March video, and then it's all good. We're just having fun here, right? Okay, so I picked this up today. This is the Carpenters, the singles, 69 to 73. My research tells me that this is a 73 pressing. It's an RCA pressing. Yeah, and this is a great album. The thing about this album is like comfort food for me. Like you go home or you go to visit family, and I'm from the South, right? We love to eat. Everything revolves around eating. So you go home, you visit family, and you have those meals, everybody gets around, and you're hanging out and you're eating, and you just get that comfort food, right? Well, this music is kind of comfort music to me. I've reviewed or talked about a lot of music on my videos and stuff, and I run the gambit. I'm primarily, it's crazy because I'm primarily a hard rock heavy metal guy. But over the past year or two, I've really started diving deeper into jazz music, and the stuff that I feel like I'm really pursuing now is that kind of stuff. On vinyl, I'm pursuing more of the jazz music and music from the era of vinyl, rather than going and buying a lot of new music on vinyl. I want to find music that was recorded on analog equipment and pressed to vinyl. And so I just find myself going back and digging up a lot of these older albums. And like I said, albums from my youth, albums that bring me good memories. And that's exactly what this is. This album, the Carpenters, I mean, as a kid, I remember, I was born in 71, so this is just 73. But as a kid, I remember riding in my car with my parents and hearing some of these songs on the radio, on AM radio, when they were a couple of years old. So this is comfort music to me. And Karen Carpenter, if you haven't listened to Karen Carpenter, I mean, at this point, I assume that everybody that is walking the planet has probably heard Karen Carpenter. But if you haven't, you need to listen to some Karen Carpenter, because she had an amazing voice all back in the day before we had auto-tune. She just had an absolutely beautiful voice. Speaking of comfort music, this is another one I picked up today. This is a 19, This is a 1983 pressing of Huey Lewis and the News Sports. Now, this is getting a little closer into... I was in junior high when this thing came out, and I listened to it today, and this is another one of those, just brought back a lot of memories to me, and I saw it, and I'm like, yeah, I got to jump on that one, because it really was... this was a huge album back then when it came out. I mean, you have The Heart of Rock and Roll, Heart and Soul, I Want a New Drug, If This Is It, and then the rest of the songs on here are just really good. I mean, these guys were really good. They maybe got a little discounted, maybe a little poppy rock, but at the time, this was kind of popular rock music. Huey Lewis and the News Sports, great album. I got this one used also. It's in great shape. Great shape. Has the liner on the inside with all the lyrics to the songs, which is super cool. So, all right. Now, I have 4 albums here that will round out my vinyl collections for our vinyl finds for March. And these were all grabbed at my local Goodwill store. And the crazy thing about the Goodwill store near my house is all of their albums are $1.99. It doesn't matter if it's a 4-record set or a box set. I actually got a box set there for $1.99. All of their albums are $1.99. So anyway, went in there the other day and picked up. Anybody that's watched my stuff knows I'm a huge Chet Atkins fan. So this one's Chet Atkins and Hank Snow reminiscing. So the thing I like about the albums that Chet Atkins did with other people is they feel like they just put the two of them in the studio and they turned on the mics, turned on the tapes, and they just let them go. I have on CD, I have Chester and Lester, which is Chet Atkins and Les Paul. And then I also have the Chet Atkins Mark Knopfler record, which is just absolutely fantastic. And they kind of follow the same style of they just put them in the studio and you get a lot of the banter between them, between takes and things like that. So they have a very loose feel, but their playing is so tight and so good. And so I just really like his duet albums, and this is one of them. And it's a good album because, like I said, they have that kind of banter between them, and you feel like you're in there, when they recorded it. So when I see a lot of these duo albums, I like to grab them because Chet Atkins he's definitely one of the best guitar players that there ever was. And this is a really good one. I really enjoyed this one. If you get a chance, get the Chester and Lester album. Like I said, I have it on CD, Les Paul and Chet Atkins. And then also the Mark Knopfler and Chet Atkins album is fantastic too. I was listening to it the other night. And along that same vein, a big Chet Atkins fan must have went in there, or their family must have went in there and sold their collection, because I also picked up this one. This one is Chet Atkins and Doc Watson Reflections. And it's a similar style of the two of them kind of going back and forth and playing, and a little bit of that banter in between. So that's a really cool album. It's fun to listen to. I talked about the Boston Pops a lot, specifically the Arthur Fiedler led Boston Pops. I saw this one for $1.99. How could you not? It's Al Hirt. Pops Goes the Trumpet. So this is Arthur Fiedler conducting the Boston Pops with Al Hirt playing trumpet, featured. And this is a really cool album too. 1964 RCA record. And I got lucky. These things were all in really nice condition. Some of the jackets were a little janky, but I've learned the trick of getting you get you a Mr. Clean pad. And I mean, you get it just the slightest bit wet, and you can just very lightly, a lot of times you'll get that ring wear where it picks up trash, and this one had a lot of it. Very lightly, you can kind of rub these things down, and you can get a lot of that stuff off, and then immediately dry it so the paper does not absorb any of the water. Last but not least of my vinyl finds for March, and this one is really cool. As a young punk, my mom got me into a lot of the old westerns, and obviously back in the day, The Man with No Name trilogy was huge, and that was the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, and for a few dollars more, the Clint Eastwood Man with No Name trilogy. And so I saw this one, and this is a really neat find because it's a German album. It's Dollar Hits, the best of Ennio Morricone, and he's the guy that did the soundtracks for the Man with No Name trilogy. And so that's what this is. This is music from those three movies, and it's really cool. And what's interesting is I have actually gotten another German record in this area, and I think it's interesting. We are a military town, so I guess there are people that have done some traveling. But this whole thing, this whole album is in German. So I thought that was really neat. All the stuff in the back. Some of the song titles are in English, but everything is in German. And so I thought that was really cool. And it's a great album. It's original soundtrack music. It's not it's not some other other artist doing it. It's the actual stuff from him. But it's from the Man with No Name trilogy. Which is really cool, which I have a lot of fond memories of watching those movies and stuff like that. So this one's really neat, and I thought the fact that it was German was really cool too. So there you go. Those are my March vinyl finds. I have one more acquisition that I got last month too, and I wanted to share it. It's not a vinyl grab or vinyl find, but it is an acquisition that I got last month. And I was going to get this when this album came out. I was going to pick it up on vinyl, but it's 4 records, 4 actual albums. And I was like, you know what? That's a lot of record changing. So I ended up getting it on CD because I still have a ton of CDs and I do listen to CDs. So for this particular album, I just felt like CD was a better choice for me, and it was $11, I think, too. So that makes it even better. But this is the Drive-By Truckers at Plan 9 Records. They just released this not too long ago. I think at one point it was a record store day release, and it was very popular, and so they decided to re-release it not too long ago, and This is one of the last performances that they did with Jason Isbell before Jason Isbell left the band. So this is kind of the original, Mike Cooley, Patterson Hood, Jason Isbell, and just a freaking amazing lineup. And what's cool about this is they did this concert. It was a benefit for a family who had gotten killed in Richmond, Virginia, and Plan 9 was a record store in Richmond, Virginia. So they did this as a fundraiser, and they only let like 200 people, and they set up in the store, and it's got liner notes. Patterson Hood kind of tells the story behind it. He talks a little bit about where the band was at that point, and he talks a little bit about the actual performance. And apparently they got 2 bottles of whiskey and a case of PBR as payment for doing it because it was a fundraiser. They were trying to raise money. So, needless to say, they just went in there. And what I like about this, and what I've always liked about live Drive-By Truckers, especially during this time period, because this was back in 2000. It was mid 2000s. 2006. So this was right before Jason Isbell left the band, and this is when I feel like they were just on point. I mean, their live shows were just ridiculous. They just played. They were raw. They were loud, but just so freaking good, so good. And that's why I like this album. It's really good. The recording is pretty good for a live album recorded in a record store. What I do like about this album is you can distinguish all three of their guitars, Mike Patterson Hood, Mike Cooley, and Jason Isbell. You can kind of distinguish all the guitar parts that these guys are playing, and their tone is good. And it's a really good live album. I really, really like it. And it's got a lot of their hits. It's got a lot of my favorites by them. It's got a couple that Jason wrote. It's got some of my favorite Mike Cooley songs on there. And it's got Shut Up and Get on the Plane. It's got Let There Be Rock. It's got Outfit. Let's see, what else does it have? It's got Decoration Day, Goddamn Lonely Love. Just a lot of really, really good songs. Lookout Mountain, My Sweet Annette, Sinkhole, Gravity's Gone. I mean, just a really, really good album. So I got this one, but like I said, I got it on CD because I didn't want to go through 4 albums, 4 songs on each side. This is better because this is a 2 CD, so you get a little bit more time to just kick back and listen and enjoy it. If you like the Drive-By Truckers, this is definitely worth having in your collection. It's just raw. It is really, really raw, and they are just on point. I mean, they are just killing it in this album. So, highly recommend it. So the last thing, that's pretty much all my new acquisitions. I did have the bonus CD. But the last thing I wanted to talk about really quick before I end this video is I wanted to talk about different versions of albums and different pressings and repressings and things like that. And 2 of them that come to mind right now is Mobile Fidelity just announced that they are doing the first 5 or 6 Van Halen albums, and they're doing them in their one step, their high end, whatever. And they're going to be like $100-something. Now, I have pretty much every Van Halen CD. I went back and bought the remasters that were done in 2015 of several of their early albums, and I think they sound amazing. And then Acoustic Sounds just announced that Quality Record Pressings, Acoustic Sounds, they just announced, or they are releasing right now, Jimi Hendrix Experience. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. They are releasing it on their UHQR, which is their ultra high quality record. I have the Miles Davis Kind of Blue album that they released, the UHQR that they released. And I bought it kind of as a showpiece. I wanted a nice record. I wanted something that I could be like, hey, look how cool. It's got all the extras. I mean, and it is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. But now they're doing the Jimi Hendrix album. And this album is, everybody should have this album, honestly. I mean, it's got Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe, May This Be Love, The Wind Cries Mary, Third Stone from the Sun, Foxy Lady, Are You Experienced, Fire. I mean, every song on this album has been played on rock radio since it came out. So to me, it's an essential album. But my question is, that I pose to you, the viewer, is at what point do you kind of go, I have enough? Like I have, and this is probably going to be very controversial because I know a lot of the people that I follow on YouTube, they'll get every copy of every album that comes out. But I bought this copy, oddly enough, I got this at Walmart. And, people kind of give me shit about Walmart, but this record was made by QRP. So this record was pressed by Quality Record Pressings, the same pressing plant that's pressing the new UHQR, and it's mastered. It came from the original 2-track tapes, and George Marino was the mastering engineer for it. And let me tell you, this album sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. QRP does a great job of pressing albums, and they team up with a lot of the best engineers. They go and get the analog tapes, and this album sounds absolutely fantastic. So, and I paid 20 something bucks for it. So the question is the UHQR worth $125 that they're selling it for? And I'll answer for me. It's not. It's not. And I'll tell you why. I do a little bit of photography, and somebody at some point told me that, your basic cameras and basic lenses will do about 80 to 90% of what you want to do. And where you start spending the money is that last 10%. And I get it, because I have lenses that I have paid thousands of dollars for. And I get it. I see that difference. But I wonder if that's the situation, or if it's just the collector hype, or if it's just the kind of the status, the completionist, that people just, they want to get it for the collector's purpose. Like I said, when I bought the Miles Davis, I just wanted a really nice centerpiece to my collection, and that's what that's been. And it sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. It's supposedly the best. I haven't really listened to a lot of other versions of that album. I do have one of the Sony versions of Kinda Blue, and the UHQR definitely is better. But when you have this album, which was mastered from the original analog tapes, probably the same tapes that they used to make the UHQR version, Bernie Grundman mastered it, so you got a little bit of a different engineer involved. But I just wonder, this is a 20-something dollar record. How much of a difference is it? For me, I'm not going to go out and buy the UHQR, because I've said from the start, I'm not so much a collector as I am a music enthusiast, and I listen to all my music. I don't buy it, put it on the shelf. So for me, this album it's great. It's great. It's fantastic. It sounds great. But I'm sure there's people out there, I'm probably going to catch some smack for this opinion. Because I know a lot of people, they want it for all the other stuff. They want the box it comes in. They want the booklet that it comes with. And don't get me wrong, Analog Productions does some amazing work. They do a great job. But for me, that's about another $100 that I could use to buy other albums instead of buying that one album for $125. So I'm going to pass on that UHQR. But I'm just curious what other people think about that, because this is a great pressing. If you see this pressing, this George Marino pressing, I highly recommend it. It's really, really good, especially for the price. It's dirt cheap for the quality. And QRP pressed it. It's the same plant that's pressing the UHQR. So anyway, so I just thought that was interesting, and it's an interesting conversation, because I do have a few like that where I maybe have them on CD, and then I've gone back and gotten them on, like I said, the Van Halen albums, those reissues that they did for the Van Halen albums. I picked those things up for 20 something dollars a piece, and now Mobile Fidelity is putting out those same albums for $100. I think they're over $100 a piece. Is it worth it? I mean, yeah, there's probably a lot of enthusiasts out there and audiophiles are going to say absolutely it's worth it. I'm just telling you, for me, these albums, these represses, remasters that they got from the original analog tapes, they sound fantastic. I like them. So for me, they're great, and I think they're going to serve the purpose for me. I know a lot of people want the other ones just for the collector's value of them, which I can see that because the UHQR albums they do increase. They are going up in price because after they press them, they're only going to do so many, and then they're done. Anyway, like they did 20,000 of the Miles Davis. I don't think there are any more available, and they're going to do 20,000 of the Jimi Hendrix album. And I think people are speculating maybe they're going to start dipping into some Led Zeppelin. We'll see. That's going to be kind of interesting. I think people want that. I don't know if they're going to do it, but anyway, okay, I'm getting long-winded again. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about these, the UHQRs, the Mobile Fidelity, their high-end pressings that are going for 100, 120, 125, brand new, not even out on the collector's market. Let me know what you think about these. Is it worth the extra money to you to get those? Are you happy with something like this that is a excellent product, and maybe you're paying for that extra 10%? If you're curious about the Jimi Hendrix one, actually, I know there are some out in the wild that people are starting to get. A lot of the people that I follow on YouTube, they have gotten it. Melinda Murphy, actually, I was just watching her video the other day. I link her in one of my other YouTube videos. She was just talking about, she has this album, and she was A-Bing it and comparing it to the UHQR album. So that video is worth a watch. Go check it out and see what she says. But after watching her video, I'm convinced that I'm fine with what I have. She claimed that she could hear a difference. It was a little bit better quality to her ears. But was it... I got the impression it wasn't just a blow your mind night and day difference. So for me, what I have is perfect. So, but if you're interested, go out and check hers. I follow her. I really enjoy her videos. And there are a couple of other people out there in the community that are starting to get the album and starting to review it. So if you go out there and search on YouTube, you're going to start seeing them. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you think these, these $120, $130 brand new right off the shelf albums are worth that kind of money, or if you can find something like this, if that's a better deal for you. I know I have not been buying a ton of new albums. I've been going and hitting the thrift stores and my local record shop, and I've been digging and finding a lot of used albums. Over the past probably 6 months, I've bought way more used albums than I have new albums. So anyway, okay, I'm getting along again. Thanks everybody for watching. That's my March vinyl finds. I will see you in my next video. If I don't make one between now and then you'll get to see my April picks. So thanks again for watching. All right, bye.